So now that I've been farming for a while now, there are a lot of things that are so wrong about what people believe and think about farming. A lot of things that if people only understood the right way, a lot of people would be thriving on their farms, or a lot of people would actually have joined farming and started farming. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing 9 things which people have got wrong about farming, and if you do understand these things and believe them the right way and understand them the right way, they're completely going to flip your perspective about farming and you're more likely to thrive and succeed. So let's jump right into them. First one is that you need a lot of money to start a farm. Now, of course, this is very subjective because the definition for a lot of money varies so much depending on who you are. There are a lot of people who I talk with and someone tells you that I want to start a big farm, and then you're like, okay, so what do you mean by big? How many birds? And the person is like 500 birds. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So in their head, 500 birds is so big. And then you'll meet someone else who you find and the person tells you, you know, I want to start a farm, but I want to start small. And then you're like, okay, starting small is a good idea because you learn. Then you're like, so what's small for you? And the person will be like, 5,000 birds. And I'm like, okay, I think you need to slow down. I think 5,000 birds is too much for you to start with. Yeah. So, I mean, this varies a lot depending on who you are, but you don't need a lot of money, honestly, to start farming, because you can start a farm with 100 chickens. You can start a farm with 200 chickens. You can start a farm with 500 chickens, with 1,000 chickens. I started mine with 750 chickens and I've been able to scale it and grow it. But that's still too much for a lot of people. I've actually seen people who have started their farms with like 100 chickens, 200 chickens, and right now they are growing. Some of them have 500, some of them have 1,000. Yeah, I saw someone start a goat farm with 30 goats, and right now she has thousands of goats after starting with 30, just 30. Yeah, so you don't need too much money to start a farm. What you actually need is resourcefulness. So having money is having resources. But resourcefulness or the creativity to come up with ideas of how to deal with your low money or low income is actually what's more important. Yeah. So if, for example, you're going to be buying drinkers that are really expensive, again, I keep using poultry farms because that's what I'm very familiar with. That's what I spend most of my time doing. I try to avoid diversification as much as possible because that gives me concentration and it enables me to thrive in one thing. Yeah. So instead of using automatic drinkers, for which you'll probably pay about $15 for each, you can use manual drinkers, which will cost you $2 each. So you'll save $13. Now, with those manual drinkers, it certainly means, you know, more intensive work, higher risks, and things like that. But if you don't have the money, then what's the next best thing you can do? Use something that requires a little bit more effort, but you get to save more money and utilize that money for other things. Yeah. So you don't need too much money to start out a farm. You just need to be creative. Start a bit smaller, but then be very creative with, you know, the way you utilize the money, and then you're more likely to thrive. Second thing is that you have to be passionate to be able to start a farm. Completely wrong. Totally wrong. I didn't have passion when I started out, and I'll be honest with you, how many people are passionate about the things that they do start? The one thing that I have personally learned over the years is that a lot of people attach too much sentimental attachment or value to passion without even understanding, you know, the whole purpose of passion and how passion comes about. Yeah, I'll tell you something. I right now play the guitar, and I love it, but I don't love it too much. You know why I don't love it too much? Because I'm not so good at it. I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay. I can sit down and sing songs. I can play for my children and they'll be wowed. They'll be like, oh, daddy can play the guitar. But I can't go, you know, and play at a concert and people will be thrilled. I can't go in, maybe if I'm playing at a concert of people who are not interested in music, but people who are very musical, if I went and took my guitar in front of them and started playing, they'll look at me and they'll be like, what the hell is this guy? I mean, people wouldn't even want to pay $10, I mean, to come and watch me play. You understand? Why? Because I'm not so good at it, and because of that, I don't enjoy it as much because I'm not so good at it. Yeah. Now, the thing about passion is that you get passionate about things that you're good at. Usually, for someone to say that I'm passionate about this, it's because they have become good at it. It's rare for someone who is not good at something to say that they're passionate about it. So what does that mean? For you to become passionate about something, you must have been exposed to that thing. You'll never find someone who has never been exposed to farming. They have never grown up in farming. They haven't done any form of farming telling you that they are passionate about farming. No, you won't find someone who hasn't been exposed to cars telling you that they are passionate about cars. You understand? And you will find someone who hasn't been exposed to music, they don't love music, and they tell you that I'm passionate about music. You know, they haven't experienced music to tell you that they are passionate about music. Usually, you're passionate about something that you like. Now, how are you going to become passionate about farming when you've never started a farm? You've never been exposed to a farm. You don't know anything about a farm. Of course, you're not going to be passionate about that thing, yeah? So this is usually the thing people get wrong. The thing that people get wrong is the cause and effect thing, yeah? What causes what? The egg and the chicken, which came first, yeah? I'll tell you something. When you become good at something, you usually become passionate about it, yeah? When you become really good at something, you start to like it. By passionate, we are talking about liking, yeah, in this case, yeah? You don't become good at something because you like it. No, it's not that way. No, you like something because you've become so good at it. It's not the other way around. Yeah, same exact thing. So for me, when I started a farm and started noticing that the farm can actually produce results and it's producing results for me, and I became good at the farm, then I became passionate about it. Then I started making videos and telling you guys how passionate I was. Now at that point, I actually didn't realize the cause and effect thing by that point, but with time I got to realize it, yeah? And of course I kept telling you guys I'm passionate about farming, and a lot of people move outside there and tell people, you know, you need to be passionate about something for you to start and grow it. But it's not it. It's not it. You develop the passion after you've started and you're thriving. Yeah. So passion is overrated. What you actually need is start the farm, become good at it. Start the farm, become good at it. Trust me, once it starts working out, you're going to become passionate. Because it's difficult for you to not be passionate about something that's making you money. Number 3 is somehow tied to number 2. And it's that you need to have a farming background for you to get into farming. How about those of us who didn't have a farming background? I mean, I personally didn't grow up in any form of farming background. Now, right now, I enjoy the farm environment, as you guys can see. Yeah, I mean, you're just seeing trees and everything all around me. It looks very beautiful right here. But a while back, when I was starting, I didn't have all this. I didn't have this exposure. I grew up in the city. I grew up in city chaos. I grew up in the ghetto, in the city, in a mud and water house, in a city. You can imagine. I mean, there's living in a mud and water house in the village, you know, in a rural area, but I was living in a mud and water house in a city. That's crazy. How do you expect me to have come across farming or something like that? No, I didn't, yeah? And I also know a lot of people who haven't grown up from a farming background. No, the only thing that you actually do require is some form of interest and a desire to learn, yeah? I learned the tough way, I learned the hard way, and I hope that you don't have to learn the hard way. And if you don't want to learn the hard way, then I've left a link in the description of this video about the steps that you actually need to go through and carry for you to start a successful, thriving poultry farm, yeah? You can go and check it out so that you don't go through the hassle that I went through learning the hard way. But I personally learned the hard way. And learning the hard way meant that, you know, I spent a lot of time going through mistakes, losing money and hassle and things like that, but I still made it. Here I am 6 years later and I made it. So why can't you make it? Why do you think that you can't make it? Yeah? So you don't need an agricultural history. You just need to be open to learning, and everything can turn in your favor. So myth number 4 is that you need to be present for the farm to thrive. Now, that's completely not true. But I want you to take that statement with a pinch of salt. You need to understand the context from which I'm coming. I want to be sharing from my experience, and a lot of other people can also share from their experiences, but a lot of them are going to be telling you the negative side of the experience. Now, there are people who will tell you that you can start and grow a farm in your absentia completely and it will thrive. I know it's possible. It will be very difficult though. But the one thing that I don't believe is that you must be fully present, 100% present for a farm to thrive. That I don't believe, because I'm not 100% present on the farm. In fact, right now I'm recording this video, and as soon as I get done recording this video, I'm going to get in my car and drive off. And I probably won't be back here for a week or 2 or something like that. Yeah? And what does that mean? You actually don't fully need to be present, but you need to be present at the start. That's the one thing that I believe in a lot. You need to understand how farming works. That is it. You need to understand how the whole farming system works. When you're starting out at the very beginning, a lot of people are not going to understand, you know, the concept of your farm. They're not going to understand how your farm works. They're not going to understand how it flows. Even you are not going to understand how the farm work flows. So you need to be present right from the start, so that, you know, at the beginning you're involved in as many of the steps as possible. For me personally, when I was starting out, I was involved in the, you know, the making of the feed, in the purchasing of everything. I was involved in everything at the beginning. And whilst that might not be a very sustainable thing in the future, you know, in the long term, it is very good for you when you're starting out, because it ensures that, you're learning the right things, you're implementing the right things on the farm, yeah? So you want to be as involved as much when you're starting out, so that you imprint your farm culture in the farm. So for me at the farm right here, the guys at the farm have my culture, the things I do believe in. Why? Because I was as present as possible when I was starting. Now, of course, you don't need to have everyone present when you're starting. You just need to train maybe 2 or 3 different people on your culture on the farm, yeah, when you're starting, so that they understand what you're about. They understand, what your farm is about. And then after some time, it will be very easy for you to pass this culture and this thing on to other people, yeah? It becomes very easy. So at the beginning, you need to be present, but after that, you don't need to be present. After you've set in place systems, after you've set in place the right things that ensure that, the farm can run and thrive in your absentia, you don't really need to be consistently present at the farm. And that's one thing that I have mastered. That's one thing that I've figured out. And I've helped a lot of the people on the farm, the people around, understand, and this has engraved into them. And now I can go spend 2, 3 weeks, a month away, and the farm is still thriving. So this is it. Be present at the beginning, and then after that, train your culture, and let your blood flow through the people, and you can be as absent as you want. Myth number 5 is that farms cannot make you rich. That's completely not true. Now, again, it depends on what your definition of rich. What's the definition of rich? Some people's definition of rich is, having $1 million. I read a statistic that said, I think like 11% or 9% of Americans are millionaires. That's crazy. That's such a huge number. But a lot of them, I'm certain, don't feel rich. Yeah, so maybe your definition of being rich is a millionaire. So once you become a millionaire, then you're rich. So maybe a farm like the farm I have right now with my 10,000 birds is not going to make you a millionaire, because there's no way you're going to make $1 million with 10,000 birds in 1 year. 100% not. But what is your definition of wealth? Yeah, for me, my definition of wealth is for me to be able to do what I want, whenever I want, from wherever I want. So, I mean, it's a Saturday morning, probably not the perfect day to give an example, but this could easily have been a Monday morning, and I'm seated here in front of you guys recording a YouTube videos. Yeah, this is wealth for me. For another person, it's not wealth, but for me, this is wealth. I could get up on a Tuesday morning and tell myself that I want to go on a vacation somewhere, yeah, and I can afford it, I can go, yeah. It doesn't need to be like luxurious. I don't need to spend too much money. I don't need to fly, business class. I'm hoping that someday I will. But I don't need to be flying business class for me to have fun and enjoy, because for me, that's my definition of wealth. So a farm can actually make you wealthy. I don't do too many other things besides the farm. I'll be honest with you. I don't, yeah. Most of my focus and almost everything that I do is farm associated and farm related. And I love focus, yeah, that's one thing. So because of that, I can guarantee and tell you that literally all the money that I make is from farming. Well, not all, but most of the money that I make is from farming. And it's what has built me whatsoever I have. It's what has enabled me to sit right here on a fireplace. Meanwhile, I'm seated on a fireplace. I don't know if you guys can notice it. Yeah? You can see it. I'm seated on a fireplace. We sit right here, have barbecue and things like that. You can see my gazebo right there. I have a beautiful area right here. What's wealth if not this? So farming can definitely make you rich. So myth number 6 is that farming is for people who are retired. Oh, what a terrible myth. What a terrible one. This one is really bad, and it hurts me so much. Because I don't know why. I think the reason this came about is because growing up, I used to hear a lot of people talking about, when I grow up or when I'm retired, I want to be able to, sit on my farm and just relax on the farm. So what that means is that, before you retire, which is usually like at 60, 65, your life is for hustling, working hard, running up and down and all these things. And then after that, you can go and sit down on the farm and relax and chill. And I can guarantee you this is probably one of the main reasons as to why most farms or people's farms never used to succeed. Because they would imagine that, farming is for sitting down and chilling and relaxing and not working hard. They just lose the whole point that farming is actually work. It's not like a leisure activity. It's not like a relaxing activity. No, it's actually work. You're making food. I have 12,000 chickens on the farm. Quite a number of people working on the farm, employees, staff, and all these things. These guys have to work hard. Yeah, they have to work hard. So what that means is that, it requires attention. It requires a lot of hard work. Yeah, so anyone can actually start and do a farm. I'm 33 right now. Yeah, and I'm doing a farm. I'm not even close to retiring. Yeah, I could easily have said that I retired because I resigned from my job as a doctor, and yeah, I'm a retired medical doctor in terms of like medicine, but in terms of retiring, in terms of working and working hard, I'm nothing close to the point of retiring. Yeah, because I'm contributing to society, I'm working very hard. Actually, farming requires a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work. Yeah, and this mentality that farming is for retired people or people who want, who are close to retiring, I believe is one of the main reasons why a lot of farms fail and they don't thrive. So yes, anyone can start a farm. It doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're 12 or 20 or 30, you can start a farm and actually thrive. It's not for the retired. Myth number 7 is that farm employees are hard to find. This is an interesting one because it will really depend on where you are. So if you're in like Europe, in a lot of the developed countries, it's quite hard to find farm employees because, I mean, for the amount of money that they get paid, there's a lot of other things that they could be doing and actually earn more money. Yeah, so it might be hard for you to get farm employees. But if you're in Africa, if you're in Uganda like me, the general problem of the availability of people who can work on farms is actually not a problem. So when people say that employees are hard to get, what they usually mean is good employees, faithful employees, people who can work properly. But I'll tell you the honest truth. There are a few reasons as to why people have difficulties, getting employees on the farm. Number one is poor management. So the farm owner themselves are actually a very poor manager. They don't know how to manage people. They don't know how to run or, to handle people on a farm. So because of that, they say that, getting employees is difficult and things like that. That's number one. Number two, poor payment. So they pay the staff really terribly. They want to keep all the money themselves. Number three, poor training. So you don't train the people, or you don't know how to train the people so that, they can run and handle the farm properly and things like that. Yeah. And then number four, poor selection. Where exactly you get the farm employees from, the staff. You just don't know how to do that. Yeah. So if you can just handle that, then I can guarantee you that there's so many people. I mean, there's people who reach out to me every day telling me to give them jobs for them to be able to work on my farm. So it's not like, getting employees is hard. It's, again, a lot of times it's because of the insufficiencies of the people who are hiring the people. So that makes it look hard, but generally it's not as hard as people make it seem. Number 8 is that farming is too risky. Now I find this interesting because I'll be honest with you, there is nothing that's not risky. Of course, farming is risky, but just like it is for everything else out there. Yeah. And the truth is, the only way to reduce risk is by increasing your amount of knowledge, how much you know about the subject that you're going into. Yeah. And that is very easily done with farming. Just like if it's poultry farming, you have my YouTube channel, or goat farming, you have my YouTube channel. Yeah. So you can learn. Actually, a lot of the tips that I share over here on my YouTube channel not only work in poultry farming or goat farming, but they can work in any type of farming or even any kind of business. Yeah. So to reduce the risk for you to be able to thrive and succeed when it does come to a farm, it's all about learning as much as possible so that you know how to de-risk, how to carry out activities that reduce the risk for you to be able to thrive. So again, farming is not too risky. The risk can be reduced. In fact, I can tell you that farms or agriculture as a business is one of those businesses that rarely ever fail, because the products or the things that are involved are things that people need every day, each and every day in life. So your likelihood of failing is actually quite low if you can just understand how to do it. And then finally, it's that you need to own land to start a farm. I'll tell you, personally, when I started my farm, I did own land. I asked my dad if I can utilize a small section of his farm, and he let me utilize a small section of his farm, and I started my farm. I've seen people start farms on leased land. Yeah, so they just lease land and they start a farm, and the farm actually starts, and it works out very, very well. Yeah. So this myth that you need to own land for you to be able to start and thrive as a farmer is not true at all. Yeah, you can ask a friend who has land and utilize a small section of their area. Sometimes you don't even need land, you just need a small room somewhere, someone's abandoned room, and then you just ask them, and you can utilize it maybe to raise a few chickens, as long as it's well aerated and things like that. Yeah. So a lot of times I hear people talking and they're like, I want to start a farm but I don't own land, how can I do it? Yeah, I mean, how can I start a farm without land? I'm like, you don't need land, you just need, again, like I said at the beginning, it's not about the money, it's about being resourceful. Yeah, you just need to be creative and come up with great ideas of how you can actually get all these things that you do require without having money. Yeah, you can actually start and thrive without having a lot of money when it does come to a farm. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.